Okay, welcome back to another ESPN video. We're coming towards the end of AFCON. It's been a hell of a 2 weeks, and the conclusion results tomorrow with Senegal taking on Morocco at the Prince Moulay Stadium, and it's been rocking, and it's definitely going to be rocking tomorrow. I'm joined by Colin, Udoh, and Sam Oguneleye, and we're here to preview the game. But I guess let's touch on it, guys, because me and Sam, we were, I don't know if you can tell by our hotel rooms, the decor is similar. But we've been at the third place playoff today between Egypt and Nigeria. Nigeria won on penalties. First penalty shootout me and Sam have seen would end in a Nigeria win, which was good for us. Colin, what were your thoughts on the game, man? Because there was a bit of rotation, which was to be expected, I guess, in this game. And we discovered, Sam, in it that the North African rivalry continues, regardless of...
For sure.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, third place games, traditionally, you always see a bit of rotation in the players who take part, and it was no exception this time. Nigeria made I think was 5 changes, if I'm not mistaken. Igbobu came in for Calvin Bassey. Onyedika stayed out there. Fisayo Bashiru for Iwobi up front, Onuachu for Osimhen. And then we had Moses Simon and Chukwueze also coming in for Egypt. Same thing. They had a couple of players out. I think Matia was out with suspension. 2 players with suspension also. I think and then Mohamed Salah was stayed in. So essentially, it was exactly the kind of game you expected. I mean, they fought, but it just lacks that little bit of spark that you get when you play the final. So in the end, I mean, it was 0-0. And then penalty kicks, there were Nigerians on social media who were already traumatized by the last 2 PKs. And they were saying, we're going to lose this one. But I loved how the boys came out very professionally. Even though Dele Bashiru missed his first kick. I remember he scored against Morocco, but he missed this one. Stanley Nwabali stepped up, saved 2 kicks from Mamouche and Salah. Salah hardly misses PKs, but Nwabali saved from him. And I think that was, it was really good. And I think that, Nigeria in the end deserved it. 9 bronze medals at AFCON. Only Cote d'Ivoire comes close with 4. But my thing is, as much as we give credit to the guys for winning 9, we're tired of this bronze medal. We need to win the actual title. I don't want any more bronze medals. I don't care about any more silver medals. What I want is the gold medal. And we've got 2 tournaments coming back to back in 2027 and 2028. At the very minimum, we should win one of those. That's what I want.
Yeah, no, I think it's time, isn't it, that we kind of put that demon to bed, I guess. I guess moving forward, quickly before we move on to the final, of course, Nigeria. Sam, I'll ask you because obviously there has been kind of conversations about Eric Chell and whether he stays on as Nigeria coach. What do you think, man? I think he's earned another stint at the job for sure.
I think just simply the fact that building momentum, he should just be the guy that just stays. I think he's proven that the team has improved under him. Look, there's been some unfortunate circumstances, for example, us not qualifying for the World Cup, obviously us getting knocked out of the AFCON semi-finals, but you have to understand that even the World Cup qualifiers, he wasn't there for the majority of them. I believe that under Eric Chell, we've only lost 1 game in 90 minutes. So this is the guy for me to stay in the job. And I think he's I even saw a tweet earlier today, actually, or after the third place playoff, that there's going to be a few Super Eagles players that after this AFCON, if Eric Chell stays, probably won't get called up. I think that's just how serious he is at the moment, and he really wants to see this team actually win something, because Nigeria, like Colin was saying, they need to get that gold medal. So I would stick with Eric Chell. I really hope the NFF are not looking elsewhere at the moment. I'd say let this guy do his thing, see how he does at the next AFCON, and then we can make a decision after that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What do you think, Colin?
I do agree. Look, he's on a 2-year contract. He's seen 1 year, so he's got another year to go. And I think that, like I've said over and over again, even before the tournament started, I said that, irrespective of what happens here, because one, as Nigeria, you expect that we'll get to at least the quarterfinal of AFCON. We've never left the AFCON before the quarterfinal. So the expectation was that at least we'll get. So as long as he didn't poop the joints, and not make it to the quarterfinals. My thing was that we keep him at least for the next till the next AFCON, or the next two AFCONs, and watch him build a team. And part of my reasoning has always been that, and I've researched this, I think I've spoken about it before, that it takes Nigeria a minimum of 6 months between firing one permanent coach to hiring a new permanent coach. So if we go by those same numbers, it means that if Eric Shell is let go now, we're in January, the earliest we can expect a new permanent coach is in July. Now, we have Nations Cup qualifiers starting in March, and then you want another coach who will come in. First of all, you're going to get like a temporary coach like a Guavon or somebody who's in the NFF to manage those, and then get a temporary coach sometime in July. It's not going to work. We've seen what the man has done so far. Let him build this team all the way. And just a quick one, Sam. Yes, he still hasn't lost a game in regulation, because don't forget the Egypt game that he lost, or supposedly lost, was a scrimmage, because it wasn't really an official game. Remember, because they had to make so many changes that game doesn't count as an official game. So even the players like Tochukwu Nadi and Ebenezer Okunsamiro who played in that game still don't have official caps yet. So officially, Eric Shell has not lost a game since playing that. In fact, he has only ever failed to score in that game against Morocco. So that's an amazing outcome for the coach so far.
Even more reason to keep him. Even more reason to keep him. And I was going to say, in addition to that, like I remember Nigeria going through the World Cup qualifiers. Like, how many coaches did we have during that period?
4.
4 different coaches. So I think it's now that you found somebody who is difficult to beat, is building momentum, is bringing new players into the squad,
playing exciting football.
Playing exciting football, finding different ways to win. We have to just stick with this guy for a little bit longer and see what he can do with us, man. I'm excited. Genuinely, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think he's got a good energy about him as well. I think the Nigeria fans in general, I think they're taking a liking to them. So yeah, I'm in agreement with both of you guys on that sense. But let's turn our attentions to Morocco and Senegal, which is taking place tomorrow evening. Colin, I guess I'll start with you first, because yeah, this one's going to be an interesting game. Actually, I want to get your opinion on the Senegal complaints, because they made themselves known that it was obviously all in French, but they were saying about the arrival into Rabat wasn't safe, the allocation of seats to their fans. Obviously, Senegal have famous fans in the whole tournament. They've had a big section of like dancing fans and stuff. It brings so much energy to the tournament. That would be a big miss for not even just for Senegal, but I feel like for the tournament that would be a big miss if that's not if they're not present at the final. What were your thoughts on them even coming out and making the statement? I think it's a bold move. It's mind games early doors.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm not sure it's mind games. I think they're only being reasonable. I mean, they have points, and I mean, they have reasonable points, and then also there's also some I don't know how to say it, maybe look, I'll just jump into it. So now, first of all, the arrival was bad. I saw the videos, and that was terrible. Like, you had a whole national team going for a tournament, and in a crowd of just people just mixing like that. That's not right. That shouldn't have been done. They should have, at the very least, had a separate entrance where they could have entered. So that was one area where I thought they had a very good reason to complain. The second was the training. Their training ground. They didn't get a training ground allocated to them. Instead, they were given the training ground, which was where Morocco's team base was, which is not good enough, because you want to be able to practice and work out your tactics privately, away from prying eyes, especially off your opposition. Now, when it comes to the ticketing issue, I think CAF failed here in this, and the organizers failed here in the sense that it wasn't directed at Morocco, at Senegal specifically, but the problem is that they had pre-sold the tickets well ahead of the kickoff of the tournament. So many people already bought tickets to the final before getting there. So in many ways, you could say, okay, maybe Senegal's complaints were not completely reasonable. But on the other hand, you'd have thought that the organizers would have reserved a certain percentage of tickets for supporters of the teams that would arrive there. So at least maybe 300 to 500 tickets should have been reserved for the visiting team. I mean, even if they assumed that Morocco would be the ones in the final, they didn't do that, and so that's where all these issues are coming from. I think they even complained that their prior game they only had like 2 VVIP tickets and nothing else, and so in this game actually they only had like 2 VVIP tickets. But after they complained, I think they came out with a statement later that some of these issues had been addressed. They had been moved to a different hotel because they complained about the first one. And then, I think they've been given a certain number of tickets to sort of compensate for what they didn't have. But still, it was a failure on the part of CAF and the organizers to sell all of the tickets well ahead of the final without reserving any for the second team.
Damn,
I was even going to add to that as well. Like, we've been approached many times, even in Casablanca, people just asking us, where can we get tickets? Where can we get tickets? It seemed like a massive struggle for just a lot of fans to even just get into the stadium, even Moroccan fans. So it's going to be an even bigger struggle for Senegalese fans.
Yeah, no, true. We've been approached a lot of times asking whenever we have the lanyard on, people asking, can we get them into the ground? Unfortunately, guys, we can't. It's our bad. It's our bad.
You could have found a way, man.
Yeah, we can't. All right, guys, that's our bad. Well, Colin, thanks for that's why you're here, man. The knowledge on the pod. Thank you for clearing that up for sure. Going to matters on the pitch, Sam, we've seen Morocco play twice in this tournament live. Fortunately, we haven't been able to see Senegal live, but we know how strong they are. Where do you think the game is won and lost here, bro? Because two strong teams, two very tactically tactically strong teams as well. So it's going to be a good battle. I'm seeing some key battles here, like Juve, Mane versus Hakimi. We've got Njaye on this pitch as well. Brahim Diaz. There's a really good attacking talent on display.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say on paper, I think Senegal are obviously the better team. I think just overall from defense to attack, they just have a better squad and they've proven it, beating England, a few months ago, and also just what they've been able to do in the World Cup qualifiers and this AFCON too. But I think where the game is won and lost is honestly just the home advantage at the moment. I remember watching Morocco versus Cameroon, and Cameroon went to that ground and looked like they had never played football before. We then, see Nigeria go over to that ground, and Nigeria, who had been improving gradually in terms of attack and defense across the tournament, proved to be, one of the best teams. You could even go out on a limb and say they probably were the best team this AFCON. They just didn't, were unfortunate to make it to the finals. They go to that ground and completely just look out of place as well. I know that Morocco couldn't find a breakthrough and a way to break them down, so credit to the Nigeria defense for that game. But it just goes to show that when teams have gone there, it just seems to be a completely different set of players that you see out on the pitch. Not to say that Morocco aren't good, not to say that they don't have talent, not to say that they're not tactically strong, but I think that home advantage has just been able to really elevate them and take them to a new level. You've got to remember that they're the only team that has played all their games at that ground, or even at just one ground. All the other teams have at least traveled, once or twice if you've made it to the knockout stages or wherever it might be. So I think the home advantage is definitely going to get them over the line. I don't know if Senegal can find a way through, if I'm being completely honest with you, because I've just seen teams go there and just crumble or look completely different to how they've done in previous games. So it's going to be an interesting one, because I feel like this will be one of the harder tests. I think Nigeria was a really hard test for Morocco, but this is going to be another really difficult one. And it's the final. It's the pressure of they've not won it in 50 years. Senegal are coming in there with a medal from 2021. They're like, okay, they probably want to have a second one, of course, but I feel like the pressure's really going to sit with Morocco on this one. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they navigate that, but then also how, Senegal respond to that home stadium too.
Yeah, no doubt. We've been seeing Colin, a lot of when we're talking to fans after games, the Morocco fans like Nigeria will be the toughest game we play. And then when we've asked them, well, you face Senegal, what do they say, Sam? They all say easy. Yeah, it's calm. Don't worry about Senegal. It's going to be fine. What are your thoughts on it, Colin? Are Senegal going to be the guys to break the Morocco momentum in this tournament and break hard?
Look, I think so, if they get a level playing field. Now, yeah, the crowd is everything and all, but you saw how Nigeria played. Nigeria were not intimidated by the crowd. But they played a normal game, apart from the fact that maybe someone like Ndidi didn't play. And so it was a bit of a difference for Nigeria in terms of keeping possession of the ball and finding the space they are used to. They were not intimidated at all. What actually put Nigeria back was the incompetence of the official. The thing about refereeing is, and when you watch games, I've watched games from Nigeria domestic league to the highest level, all up to the World Cup. And when you see refereeing trying to almost actively ensure that one team can't play, It's not the big calls like, oh, you didn't give us a PK here, or you didn't give us. It's those little niggly calls of, you go into a 50-50 ball that you think is yours, they call it against you. You're trying to break through to make, promising attack, and it's called back for something. You have an advantage, they call it back instead of letting the play go on. Or like in the case of, Moses Simon, you get a corner kick, they call a throw in for the other team. Calvin Bassey gets his shirt almost ripped off his back, and he gets a yellow card for it. So those were the things that actually, for the most part, hampered Nigeria. Was it a factor in them losing? No. But it made sure they just could not win without almost climbing a mountain. So it's the same thing that I think might happen to Senegal. If they get a level playing field, the referees calling the game as it should be called, I think Senegal will and can win. They have big players who have played in even more hostile circumstances. So playing in that kind of environment will not faze them at all because they know it. They expect, they're used to it, so they are able to get there and get the result they need. But if the officiating, as we've seen, leans towards Morocco, as we've seen it happen time and time and time again during this tournament, then it's going to be hard, really tough for Senegal to make headway.
Damn. So that kind of home advantage combined with the refereeing. Damn, I think that's a big thing to lean into, isn't it? If we're gonna discuss that, I guess as a theme of the tournament, Morocco kind of maybe, I don't know, how do I phrase this, guys?
See, the point is they're getting the calls, and people have said it. I mean, if you listen, even it was a question that was asked to Walid Gragui just in one of the press conferences, and he said, "Nah, we're not having that. We're winning on the pitch." Look, they've got a quality team. Nobody's doubting that. But when you get to this level of competition, the margins are very, very small. And if those small margins, you see calls get going against you as a team, it's hard to get over it. Because if there's a level playing field, the football is going to be won, right there on the grass, But when you have these little niggly calls that are just, they are there, but they're not there, to the point where if you complain, it looks as if you're paranoid. That's a game changer. It's not an obvious game changer, but it is a game changer. Sometimes, it's not overtly like, oh, referees being told go out and do this. Sometimes it's just that the referees themselves are intimidated by the crowd, or by the atmosphere of, well, this is happening. It's the home team, and look, they are doing well. They might win. It happened to Nigeria almost in a number of occasions, and it happened again during this last semi-final.
Yeah, I think the ref did play his part for sure. I guess, no matter what, it's going to be part of the story tomorrow, isn't it? So definitely would be interested to see how it unfolds. There's a few players, I guess, that I want to highlight for Morocco. Diaz, the midfielder, the centre defensive midfielder, I was really impressed with against Nigeria. Anui, I hope I've pronounced his name properly. Probably haven't, but I was really impressed with him. Ezal Zuli as well, I've been really impressed with. So Morocco have got some dangerous players as well. And I think Iliman Ndiaye, this could be the stage where he steps up, man. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the Premier League. So, yeah. But let's go on then, guys, to the big one. This is what everyone sticks around to the end for, is predictions, man. I know it's always a bold one. Sam, I'll start with you. I have my prediction. I have a storyline what's going to happen. But Sam, I'll start with you.
You have a whole storyline.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I'm a Liverpool fan, though, so I've given it away a little bit.
I think I'm going to have to play it safe this time round, guys, because I went with a 4-0 prediction for Nigeria versus Morocco, which was very outlandish, and I think that was the fan in me speaking. But I think this time round, I think Morocco are going to get the best of Senegal. And I think Morocco will do it in extra time and win 1-0.
1-0 in extra time, yeah? Okay, I'll give my Colin. We'll end on your prediction because I know your prediction is probably going to be very fiery for sure. Morocco, a good team, man. I like, despite obviously with the game against Nigeria, I think they did play well. They did create some great chances, but I think it's going to be extra time. I think I just don't know. I feel like it's written for Sadio Mane, man. I'm predicting a Sadio Mane dagger in extra time. I think. I don't know why. I just feel like he's yeah. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Sadio Mane, like 116th minute dagger. That's what I'm going for. Maybe it's the romantic in me. I think it's the romantic, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good call. And To be honest, I'm not sure it's going to go to extra time. I think the game was going to be won in regulation. And when you look at these two teams, Morocco, the first really good team they faced was Nigeria, and they couldn't score. And that Senegal team is as strong as the Nigeria team. That's one. Two, they have experience of playing in AFCON finals. This is their third in 4 appearances so far. 2019, they were there. They were there. Yeah, 2019, 2021, which they won, and that was back-to-back finals. They won, and then they only failed to make it in 2023. So bringing all that experience, and a lot of those players are still there. The only big thing is they're going to be missing Udoh Coulibaly, the captain, for suspension, and Habib Diarra. But even with that, I still think that Senegal have still got it in them to get this one done. So I'm going to go with maybe by 1 goal, 2-1, 1-0 to Senegal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight, man. I think either way, Sam, afterwards, going to fan crowd reaction is going to be interesting no matter which way.
It's going to be very interesting. And whether or not we sleep at night is it's kind of in Sadio Mane's hands.
It all hinges on the game tomorrow, because after the semi-final, man, the city was rocking, isn't it? Like, it was flags everywhere, man, and stuff like that. And even at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when we got back to the hotel. But okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me again on the pod. We'll definitely be back after the AFCON final to review it, and probably after, just to review the tournament and talk about developments more so in African football, man. This has been I feel like I'm coming to the end of a journey here, guys, on the AFCON tournament. But it shall continue, so make sure you catch us on the next video.